to 12. We're talking about something very important, that screen time with children and what should we be aware of. Well, we know in today's digital age, screens are an absolute unavoidable part of childhood. But let's find out more about it. And joining us now on our screens as well as the airwaves, we have Dr. Razia Rangrage giving us a very precious time. Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Razia. Welcome back to Urban Woman.
Wa alaikum salam, Sister Razia, and Jazakallah for having me.
Barakallah, always a pleasure having you on Urban Woman. We're living in a time where, as I mentioned, previously earlier in the show, that our kids are basically born with the device in their hand because, it's part of DNA during pregnancy. We are always on it. It's something that is absolutely unavoidable. But there's so many things that we need to be aware of during these times. It's something we can't avoid. So what will you say, Doctor, are the primary psychological and developmental effects of screen time on our children? Everything has its pros and cons.
And it's true, everything has its pros and cons, and nothing is inherently evil. But I think there's two things. There's the content of what they see on the screen, and there's also the actual effect of the blue light or the actual, seeing the screen itself. So
Right.
If we look at just being on the screen itself, leave alone the content, there's lots of research to show that leave children, Razia, even our attention span is affected. So just being on screen affects in fact, there was a study that showed that having a phone on you, not even looking at it, just having a smartphone on you, they did neuropsychological tests, and just having the phone near you or on you had a negative impact on your results as opposed to not having the phone around you. So the phone is built to catch you. Your devices are always going to be beeping. Imagine you're not even looking at the screen, but having it there reduces your attention span, and our brains are developed, and yet it's having an impact on us. So just imagine that child whose brain is developing. And unfortunately, many of us are very guilty of giving our children the screens to feed them because they're going to be running around, or we use it as a babysitter, or the drive is long. I mean, alhamdulillah, I went for Umrah in December, and I can't tell you, at the breakfast, I saw so many people, babies on their pram. They've got the screens that are, sitting there, and the babies are eating very quietly because they've got the screen in front of them. But do you know that leave psychologically, exactly, but leave psychologically, physically, children, us, we will eat more if we are distracted by a screen. So it's leading to obesity. Now here you have a child that can't pay attention, that will sit still, yes, but who can't tolerate boredom, who can't tolerate any sort of discomfort because they're so used to being dissociated, they're so used to being distracted, they're so used to having something to keep their mind busy. And unfortunately, they cannot tolerate much. And so they are moody and they are distracted. And even worse than that is that it affects their socio-emotional developmental skills. So back in our day, without telling our age, we would play or we would make friends very easily because we were children. I mean, you were a child, that we had that in common, and it was easy to make friends.
Yeah.
But our children don't know how to make friends. Unfortunately, it has a negative effect on language as well. So parents think they're doing the world of favors. Let them watch a program, let them listen, they're going to have big words. Maybe, but how do children learn to speak? By looking at you, by seeing your mouth move, by interacting with you. Like you see babies will reach their hands out towards their parents' mouth and start grasping. This is how they are picking up language. So ideally, and I know this is a high standard, ideally, under 3 years, your child should not have a device. Or if they are, it's supposed to be postband and interactive. Yeah, because and think about the stuff that we've been talking about. And also, more than that, I remember years ago, when the Indian serials came out with a bang, there was an article saying that mums are very distracted. They're not giving their children time. That was before the era of the smartphone. Now we have phones that are constantly distracting us. What about our relationship with our children? What about the fact that we're not emotionally available for them? So what impact is if we're not regulated? How is that child going to learn how to be regulated?
100%. We're all getting zapped into this, as you said, because I can definitely see my attention span going. Like you automatically see, okay, this video is so long. No. I'd rather go something shorter. But that's how we are being programmed, and we as adults now imagine the impact on them. And many of my clients as well, like the kids come for sessions, and I tell their parents also, because I have to catch myself. This is something that I have to do also, is to put the phone one side and be present with your child. And I think this is something that we're really missing out on, being present with one another. Because somebody's like, yeah, and that is
Yeah.
really, that is sadly robbing us. And then we'll have the space of feeling not accepted, not loved, not validated, not seen. And then it goes so much deeper, as you know. What about those parents who will say, but they're watching something educational? What would you say will be the impact of these kind of things, educational versus entertainment on our kids?
So, look, the content does make a difference. So, our screens are not encouraged under a certain age, whatever they're watching, right? But let's just say, you have lots of Islamic programs and they're learning the kalimas even before they go to madrasa, and you're like, oh, this is awesome stuff. So, I would say they are educational content as long as they are interactive and not zombifying your child. So, you're sitting there and your child is completely zoned out. If they're interactive or they're making you speak with them, as long as they are age appropriate, maybe helping you with like problem solving but I think the big thing is sit with your child. I mean, if they're young, obviously you're not going to sit with a 16-year-old. They won't appreciate that. But sit with your child, especially if they're younger, and watch how you feel as you're going through this with them. Explain to them. So it becomes something that is creating bonding between you and your child, not just that your child is sitting there watching the so-called educational thing and it's not your business anymore. And I know I've said this before, but this is just so important, that the emotional part of the brain, the amygdala, does not know the difference between reality and image. So whatever your child is watching, if your child is playing video games all the time and shooting people, they're not going to be the most empathetic souls, because emotionally, every so-called thing that they kill there, or being or blood and gore that's out there, is being experienced as reality for them. So too our
Correct.
thoughts. Like if you're an anxious someone, you keep on having negative thoughts, you're making your mind go through that over and over and over again. And neurons that fire together, wire together. So watch what you expose your child. It may seem fun, or it's just shooting games or banging cars, but it's having an impact on your child. So watch what your child is being exposed to. Unfortunately, the younger they are, the more open their mind is. I mean, we know the unconscious mind, also called personality, or whatever you want to call that, is developed. We say under the age of 8, I would say close to even about 5. So 5 to 8 years old. A lot of your beliefs of the world, a lot of your personality has already been formed, unless it's something traumatic that happens after that. But most of it is formed. Now, children at that age, and we're exposing them to things that are not part of our culture, things that are dangerous, value systems that we don't like, or what are we putting in the unconscious mind? So it's something
Correct.
to use technologies. It's amazing, but also be very mindful and don't just use it blindly. There's a study to show, unfortunately, our children are exposed or have been given devices from 4 months old. Because they are
Wow.
4 months.
Wow. No. Oh
And
boy.
think about it. That's
Modeling. Yeah. I
Then,
mean,
the first 2, 3 months, every 2 months, the child's eye only goes as far as 30 centimeters, which is supposed to be your mother's face. So they're supposed to learn through that. Now we're putting a device in front of them. And only
correct.
Allah knows what's even on that thing, or what's being said, or whatever it is. What are we doing to our children's brain? What are we actually doing to the software up there?
Yeah, software up there, absolutely. And I was having a discussion with somebody. I'm going to actually have this about on my show soon. Is that soon? How much are our kids actually be able to think? Will they be able to think for themselves? Because we know how dependent we're getting on this whole
Yeah.
new AI and things that are out. You're saying, what are we doing to our children? Very good question.
The AI, unfortunately, it's there to help. It makes life easy. Definitely. It saves us time. But it uses our brain for us. We don't have to research. We don't have to look further. But these are all the things that we've been using our brain for. So now our phone, our devices are doing the thinking for us, are doing the remembering for us. We are not, unfortunately, as smart because we're not using our brains that much. I'll think
Absolutely.
about a very silly example. 3 times 4, you're going to throw the answer at me, right? But our children will take out the phone and then use the calculator because they haven't been trained. Our brains have been trained. Okay, they're smart at other things, but our brains
So
have been trained, right? It's all to remember 10-digit numbers, the 031 numbers we used to have. But do you remember any of your recent numbers? Do you actually
no, people
recall
don't.
them? Your phone
Correct.
is doing it for you. So
Correct.
unfortunately, digital dementia is an actual thing, and we're using our brain, and we're using our phone to do our thinking.
Yeah, can you imagine that? I mean, I just think how much power we are giving away. It's like that muscle. We are not flexing it, we're not building it. What is happening? Our brain is exactly the same, unfortunately. There's so much that we can talk about. Inshallah, we'll have to catch you another time. But just coming back quickly to what you said that really has blown my mind away is the reality of those TV games where there's violence. And yes, you're right, because we know this, that your brain doesn't know reality or imagination up here or what. So parents, be very conscious of these violent games, because your child's brain wouldn't know reality or just a game. It's being hardwired into that. Dr. Nazia, I always love chatting with you. It's always so interesting. We're definitely going to get you on again, inshallah, next time you have a gap. But your words as we wrap up the segment.
So I felt that there was, one question, I'm going to answer it quickly, is how much time is good time? Because I think lots of parents want an answer to this. I think if you can, as much as possible, under the age of 2, please do not expose your child to screens, especially now your phone and stuff that is right in their face, as much as possible. Video calls and stuff are fine. Maybe watching a program with them, but not endless times on their own on screen. 2 to 5 years old, about an hour maximum. Over that, especially our teens and stuff, I think we have to make them very aware of the danger of technology. I think especially before bedtime, half an hour to 1 hour before bedtime, please do not give your child a screen because it affects sleep, it affects melatonin. Be consistent, be mindful, and please do not use technology as much as you think it's a positive thing as your babysitter, as something to feed you. Please just back away from that. It's not good, it's not bad, but it's how you use it. So use it mindfully, use it with good intention. So that's my final message for today. And I hope we've managed to get the message across to our listeners.
Inshallah, we just really have to be conscious and proactive and not just get sucked in. I feel like we're living in this vacuum that, the pull is there. If we're not mindful, we're just getting sucked in, we're going within, and it's kind of normal, so to say, our normal kind of living. Thank you so much, Dr. Nazia. We do wish you a lovely day further, and we'll connect with you again. Until then, have a lovely day. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam. Razia, and to our listeners, Jazakallah for having me.
Barakallah. That was Dr. Nazia Osman chatting with us about the importance of screen time and how to also be conscious of it. Remember, brain cells that wire together, fire together. So, so important to be conscious of what you're feeding your child. Remember that whatever they are exposed to, they are basically being programmed on conditions. So the more they're doing something, the more hardwired their brain is becoming to that. And the question is, if you're watching your child busy in something, ask, is this what I want them or their brain to be hardwired with? So important for us to be so conscious at a time like this where it's so easy to just get distracted. This is where our consciousness needs to come in. And this is I would say, it's part of our jihad. So let's all be mindful. Let's all be proactive. And may Allah give us all the strength to be tolerant, because sometimes we can't be tolerant and we just allow our little ones to go the easy way out. And this is their form of entertainment and babysitters, so to say. Quick break. I'll be back with you after that.